Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. So, as we get started, welcome to our program, our Facebook Live on the Youth Ambassadors Program. We have a fantastic panel of some of our alums and previous mentors. So, I'm happy and so excited to get this session started. So, go ahead and join in. Feel free to put questions into the chat box. We are looking forward to answering any and all of your questions about the program. So go ahead and get those into the comment section and get those questions in. So without further ado, let's get the program started. I want to just do an introduction to myself. My name is Simone Kendall, and I am the Deputy Public Affairs Officer here at the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown. So welcome again for tuning in to our Youth Ambassadors program. Our hope is that you all will either tell somebody you know or apply to the program. So just to get a little bit more background on the Youth Ambassadors program, it's a program that brings together high school students and adult mentors from across the Western Hemisphere to promote mutual understanding, increase leadership skills, and prepare youth to make a difference in their communities. This program is conducted through in-person sessions as well as virtual exchange programs. Youth ambassadors participate in a range of different experiences and activities. So that's leadership training. They're going to do civic participation and community at the community level, as well as mentorship, business, and engaging with NGO leaders. So I've told you a little bit about the program, but what I really want to do is introduce you to some of our guests that have actually participated in the program. So first up, we have Roll J. Williams, who is a 2015 Youth Ambassadors Program alum and did the in-person program and is also a native of Nevis. Roll J is an alumnus of the Gingerland Secondary School. He has represented Nevis in a Commonwealth Youth Parliament as well as the Youth Tourism Congress. He is currently preparing to return back to Scotland for his studies. So I can't wait to delve into that a little bit more and give a little bit of your insights, Roll J. But thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure to encourage young people to apply for this wonderful program. I look forward to a good discussion.
Thank you. And next up, we have Shauna Lee, who is our 2019 alum from the Youth Ambassadors Program. And she also did travel in person to do the program. Shauna Lee is an alumnus of the Covent High School in Dominica. She is now a student at Dominica State College in the Faculty of Science. In high school, she was a member of the Communications Club, French Club, and the Perpetual Help Program, as well as Pathfinder. So thank you so much for participating in our program today, and can't wait to hear about your insights on your experience with the program. I know you got some interesting stories to share too.
Thank you, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion where we can engage some youth to participate in the program.
Thank you, thank you. All right, next up we have not an ambassador in the program, but one of our mentors, one of our Youth Ambassador Program mentors who also participated in the in-person and travel component as well. So thank you, Jameson, for being here. Jameson is a teacher at the Carmen Renee Memorial School in St. Lucia. He is passionate about youth development and is also a dance instructor at the Silver Shadow Performing Arts Academy. And in this role, he promotes culture, arts, and community development through dance. So thank you, Jameson, for joining us.
The pleasure is always mine, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion.
Thank you. And it's good. We got your insights on kind of what it is to be on the other side, being a mentor and guiding our youth ambassadors throughout the program. So thank you. Next up, we have Nahal, who participated in our 2021 program, and she did the virtual component. So unfortunately, due to COVID, we weren't able to get her to do the in-person program, but she is a student at the St. Joseph's Secondary School in St. Lucia. She's a member of her school's Peer Helper Club and Environmental Club and called US or Us for Earth, which is a self-governed student organization that seeks to raise awareness of environmental problems to the general public. She is also a member of the Science, Technology, and Environmental Club and enjoys playing tennis. So thank you, Nahal, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and I'm very excited to share my experiences on this incredible program and getting you guys to apply.
Yes, apply. I agree. So the last but not least, we have Elena, who is a 2021 Student Youth Ambassador Program participant. She also did the virtual program, and she is a student as well in St. Lucia. She plays the violin, piano, and is involved in several other school clubs right at this moment. She's an effective speaking club. She also does the Science, Technology, and Environmental Club, and she's played competitive tennis and is also a long distance runner. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited for this discussion and to show that no matter how the program is, it's always an incredible experience. Thank you again for having me.
Yes, and we're so glad to have you, and very excited for you all to each share just your different experiences within the program and some of your key takeaways. So let's start off with that. Roll J, can you share kind of like what made you apply to the program? What was like one of the key things that made you apply? And then was it something or a goal that you were able to achieve when you participated in the program?
So I applied in 2015, and I think I can almost remember the deadline in my year was in April of 2015. And around that time, I was sort of forming into my role as becoming a youth leader. And I was presented with this opportunity, and I think that was back in the day when the internet wasn't a very big thing for me. So my school counselor presented this thing to me, and she said, I realize you've been participating in lots of youth activities and youth parliament, youth congress, etc. And there's this opportunity for you to go and network with other young people from around the Caribbean in the United States and to interact with young people in the United States as well. So I think going into the program, I was looking forward more to networking with young people, and I indeed got that out of the program, where I was able to network with young people and learn a lot more about politics, diplomacy, etc.
Nihal, I see you nodding your head. Can you share a little bit like what were you hoping to get out of the program and did you get it? Like, how was your experience?
I was learn about leadership and community service because that is something I was passionate about and still am. And also networking, making friends, learning a little bit more about other cultures, learning a little bit more about the Caribbean. And I did get it. I made some incredible friends. I learned some incredible things about civic participation that up to this day, I'm still in contact with my youth ambassador friends, and we still have a strong bond being a youth ambassador. And it's definitely something that you want to be a part of. It's you achieve so many things, you see yourself in a different light, and you become a better person through this program.
Wow. So I'm glad to see that it's like ever changing. Elena, like, can you share a little bit, just because you and Nihal were in the same cohort year, can you share a little bit about some of the reasons why you applied and if you kind of achieved some of those goals or aspirations?
Sure. So for me, I really applied initially because I'm always looking for ways for me to kind of become a better person, learn these type of skills that will help me in life. Because at the time I applied, I didn't really know what occupation I wanted to have. I just really knew the type of person I wanted to be. I wanted to be somebody who, if life calls for it, I can step up to lead and to help others. And I saw this program as kind of a gateway into that, and learning with the extra component of learning more about other countries, making new friends, similar to Nehal. And so after the program, I most definitely got everything out of that. I really did feel more confident in my skills as a leader. And the friends I made, similar to Nehal, up to this day, I still keep in contact with them. We still communicate. And I really do hope persons apply so that they can also gain that type of experience that I had.
We hope so too. We hope so too. And Shaunalee, can you share a little bit about like what attracted you to the program and kind of your experience if you achieved any of those aspirations?
For me, well, I was introduced to the program in 2018, actually. The flyer, the mentor that went in 2018, she was posting it around, and I wanted to join, but I didn't meet the age requirement. I was too young. So the next year when I saw it again, I was like, okay, this is my chance. And it really enticed me because at that stage I was, as many of my other colleagues on here said, that they wanted to develop, they wanted to make a mark. I wanted to develop my leadership skills. I wanted to make an impact in the world. And I saw this as an opportunity to develop my skills and to help me, move forward. And also, when I went on the program, I got more than what I expected. I was introduced to so many different areas, not only leadership and team building activities, but we also visited different sites where we could do community service, and that was a big part. And I really appreciated that, because you got to see different aspects. And even the homestay segment, I was in my year, we had the in-person, so we had the homestay segments and the cultural differences. We also got to, that was a big part of the program, and I really appreciated that. And I must say that after I left the program, my leadership skills did improve, because I went on. I'm now the president of the environmental club at my college, and the vice president of the DSC of the Literary and Debate Society at my college as well.
Congratulations on all of your accolades and being a president and vice president and just serving not just yourself and moving up professionally, but also serving your community. Jameson, so you have a different perspective. You came in as a mentor. And so what made you apply to the program and take on that responsibility of being a guide for our youth ambassadors? I think you're on mute still. There we go. I think hopefully.
All right, thank you. Well, actually, I was just browsing through Facebook and I saw the post and it said youth ambassador. And I was like, oh man, I didn't fit the criteria. But I further went down and I saw that there was a component for an adult mentor. And I was like, oh, wow, there's an avenue for me to utilize all what I have been learning and who I am as a person. And I'm like, sure, why not apply? So I went through the application process and I was indeed successful. And for me, what stood out from the program for me was the fact that I was able to not just meet with individuals across the Caribbean region, but having a significant impact on these individuals, given the fact that they were young ambassadors and they had lots of potential. And there was a lot of grooming that needed to be done and just shaping up in a few areas. So I acted and facilitated in that regard. And I was able to form bonds with individuals, but aspiring individuals who have bright futures ahead of them and who have an amazing personalities, who are just ready to be change makers in society. And for me, just the fact that I was able to have an impact on somebody's life, for me, that already was fulfilling.
Oh, look at those shout outs coming in. Thank you, Jameson. So speaking of like the criteria and things like that in the application process, can you all share just some of your experiences in terms of like how you went through the application process? Because I know for myself who has applied for school or other programs, sometimes it can be a little intimidating because you're like, this is a program I don't know about. And I don't know if I qualify. You begin to question whether you should do it or you shouldn't do it. We're encouraging you today to do it, to apply. But can you all share some of your experiences in that application process, any tips you have? So feel free, go ahead and unmute if you have any insights to share.
Okay. Well, I'll begin for the adult mentor application process. One, I would just say just be truthful. And
go
always
ahead, Alana. Like I saw you unmute just really quickly.
Oh yes, I did.
But can you share some of your tips on like how you navigated the application?
Sure. So for me, when I began applying, obviously I had that form to fill out. I had to write a series of essays, give a little bio of myself. And that part was very interesting for me to fill out because I had to really think about my life's journey up to the point where I was applying, really thinking about, what have I done? Why do I want to do this program? And then it became a little bit more difficult when it became not just me, but then I had to reach out to different teachers at my school, different adults, asking them for recommendation letters. And, I didn't really have to ask that much. They were just like, sure, we'll do it for you. And so after I turned in that form, which turned out to be the more easy part of the application process for me, I then had the interview, and that was the part that I became nervous about. And I feel like I may not be the only person who's nervous about that segment, because for me, I'd never really been extremely nervous about speaking. However, for the first time, I felt this kind of real nerves in me when I was like, oh no, once I'm onto this interview, I won't be able to say a word. I won't be able to say anything. I won't be able to speak. However, once it started, the interviewers made me feel very comfortable. I was just really able to answer. And it really made me feel like I had what was in me to not only participate, but to explain why, to say why I'd like to do this, what I do have, my experiences. And for any persons who are, nervous either about the application itself or about the interview, I would say, you really do have what it takes. You really do have what's in you. And once you really go down that road, remember where you've been to get you to where you are. And for the interview itself, really just remember your experiences and try to really formulate them into words. I think that would really help. And after the interview and the application, I started telling myself, whether or not I got in, this was a really incredible experience. And that no matter what, anything that comes after this, like within my school, it seemed kind of like fairly easy compared to that, because afterwards I had to interview for a club at my school. And as soon as I entered that interview, I was like, you know what? I've been here before. I feel incredibly comfortable. I know exactly what I'm doing. And so even the application process itself is just an incredible learning experience. And once you get in, things only get better.
One thing that I would say to those looking on and thinking of applying, and I'm probably taking liberty in saying this, but you don't, at this stage, because you're required to be a high school student, at that stage of your life, you're not meant, or you're not required to have a 10-page list of achievements in your life. But what I would say, look at the requirements of the program and look at the things that you would be expected to do if you're selected as youth ambassador, to engage in civic engagement, youth diplomacy, cultural immersion, and frame your application in such a way that you say, well, I may not have all these achievements behind me, but I think that this program will aid me to do a lot of those things. Because even though this is sponsored through the US Department of State, through its embassies, what they're trying to do is to encourage youth leadership within the Caribbean, within your territories. You're not required to stay in the United States forever. You're required to come back and put things in place in your country. So frame your application in such a way that you could say and demonstrate that you're willing to come back and be a youth leader within your community.
Yes, definitely. I actually agree with you all. And for the adult mentors who are viewing and who do have a genuine interest in applying, what I would just say to you is just be truthful on the application and just allow the application to reflect who you are as an individual and what you stand for and what you hope to develop and what you hope to achieve, because that would set you apart from the others and would hopefully gain you an acceptance into the program, where you get to experience firsthand what I and the rest of the individuals here today have experienced.
Yes, and I agree with, Jameson and Roll J, what they said, and even Alana, what she said as well. When you're looking at the application, I remember thinking, okay, I'm applying for this, but I don't know if I don't think I'm going to get in. There are so many more qualified individuals that could get the opportunity. And I think what you really should try to do is look at yourself and highlight your qualities, highlight, your strengths, your talents, and that's what they really want to see, because the program is not necessarily for someone who is already fully developed or so much, they are so further on, but they're really trying to help you, as Roger said, develop youth leaders in the Caribbean. And I think even for the interview, I was so nervous. I mean, my interview was during school hours, and my principal, she was so supportive. She allowed me and another student, it was two of us, we had to do the interviews, and she allowed us to use her office. And I was sitting in the principal's office and I was like shaking. And but the interviewers, they made me feel so comfortable. And I know in retrospect, they're just people. I mean, sometimes you think, okay, she's just saying they're just people, but I mean, they really are. They really made me feel so comfortable, Miss Howell and the rest, and it was a wonderful, experience just doing the interview. It gave me, it made me feel so much better after having the conversation with them. They asked if I had any questions. I was able to ask any question, anything I was unsure of, and I felt so much more comfortable in my decision to apply for the program.
That's awesome. And thank you all so much for sharing kind of just how you all experienced the application process, the interview process, but also too like the confidence that you came away with just in that process, not even participating in the program, just having that interview and kind of gaining confidence in the next steps of what you would do after. Nehal, I know our youth ambassadors and our youth ambassador alums and mentors are very busy. So I know, Nehal, you have to leave us, but I really want to get some of your experience with the application process. And then hopefully, can you leave us with just one word that you would share with our live participants today on the program? So give us a little background about your application process, and then just one key takeaway that you have from participating in the program. Over to you.
I remember first getting the email from the school of the application, that ambassador's application was open. And it was my mother who actually saw the email first. And she's like, Nehal, are you interested in applying? And I watched the application and it was overwhelming. There are a lot of essays. And something I know is that give it a try. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. At least you gain something new from it. At least you learn how to apply to something. And this was my first application. And once I applied, I was actually very shocked to get the interview. I was scared. And just like Shonali, my interview was during school hours. And my teacher was so supportive. She let me leave class early and I managed to go and do the interview. And the interviewers were very supportive. And even though I may have stumbled a bit, they let you be comfortable while asking you the questions. And one thing I'll mention is don't be afraid to ask questions from your interviewers, because if you're afraid to ask questions, they won't know what you're interested about. They won't know that you're really ambitious, you're really looking forward to it. It gives you a sense of self that, yes, I want to do this. This is my goal and I'm going to try my hardest to get it. So don't be afraid to ask questions, especially if you're unsure about anything, because the interviewers will answer you. And they're very, how would I say, they're very sweet. It will make you comfortable enough. Don't be scared for the interview. As scary as it might be, it's going to be okay. And it's going to be a gateway for you to do further interviews. When you do job interviews, club interviews, college interviews, it's going to give you those skills so you later use it in your life. And one key takeaway from the program was that it was exciting. It was interesting. I learned so much in that program, and I've never been a good speaker, but from that program, I started getting out of my comfort zone and speaking more, learning more, putting myself out there more so that I will achieve more. I will help make an impact on my country, on my island. Even after Youth Ambassadors, when we had to do our community project, it was very overwhelming. What will I do? How will I make a better impact? And then you come up with your community project. I started a club called Asha SLU, which is to motivate the youth to feel better, do better, and encourage them and motivate them and be a voice for the youth so that they will get the opportunities in life and so that they will know that it's okay to stand out. It's okay to make a name for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Nahal, I know you might have to leave us, so feel free to log off when you need to. And thank you so much for participating and just sharing your experience with the program and encouraging people to apply. So my next question to our panelists is, now you've gotten into the program, whether you are a youth ambassador or you are a youth ambassador mentor, Can you go through any challenges you experienced? We've highlighted some of the great things about the program, but too, we want to give people a realistic view. What were any of the challenges you experienced, and like, how did you overcome them? I know you're sharing experience about delving into another culture, maybe traveling for the first time, or just share with some of those insights with us.
All right, so I'm gonna begin. Well, for me, when I applied for the program, I did approach it with an open mind, and I didn't set myself up for any expectations. And as such, it may sound like I lived in the best world, but for me, I did not encounter any challenges. Rather, for me, it was smooth sailing. It was me just applying what I have learned in my everyday life, and me just being my authentic self and just being very understanding, being able to communicate effectively, and just maintaining a good relationship, not just with the youth ambassadors, but with also management and all the individuals who are responsible for the program. So I did not encounter any challenges. It was a smooth sailing for me. I'm not too sure what the others might have experienced, but yeah, over to you guys.
Okay, well, I'll follow after Jameson. I wouldn't say I experienced much challenges. I would say probably the first day I landed in Barbados. Well, as I said before, I was a part of the in-person group. I didn't know anyone. I met Miss Howell. I only saw Miss Howell on probably this computer screen. I've never seen any of these individuals before. I mean, I'm by myself in Barbados, but the youth ambassadors from the other islands, they made me feel so comfortable. I mean, after a few hours, it's like we've known each other for such a long time. And even, going to the United States when we were in Vermont, the food was different. And I mean, that's something, but it was like a collective. I mean, we're from different islands in the Caribbean, even with the other participants from Jamaica and Guyana and, Suriname, but we all I think the Caribbean, the culture was different, but we all being from the Caribbean. I mean, we have our different cultures, but in a sense, it's more similar than the United States culture, and I think we had a community, so we were able to, push past all of that. But it wasn't anything much of a shock. I mean, we got into it after a few days, and the weather, it was cold in Vermont. I mean, we have cold in the Caribbean, but in the mornings it was like cold. Even for the summer, I would imagine it, in December time. But even that, but after a few days, we kind of got into it, and the community was so comforting and so engaging that you kind of forgot all of that after. So the challenges, I wouldn't say were much really. It was really just probably a little acclimatization in the start.
Yeah, I think because I did the program when I was 15, like getting to Barbados, because in my year, and I think it still is a thing, we met up in Barbados before we went on to the United States. And I think that was probably the most challenging bit of the entire experience for me, because that was the first time that I was ever traveling alone. In my previous years, everywhere I went, I always had someone with me, and there I was traveling alone at this time. And so for me, it was a new experience, getting to Barbados alone. And I think as soon as we met up at the hotel, I think the challenge essentially ended then, because we all became very friendly. Even though I'd never even seen these people before in my life, and we all shared our experiences, and we had excellent staff from the U.S. Embassy in Barbados. Miss Howell, especially, she made it really, really welcoming in Barbados, and I think at no point after that did I ever feel uncomfortable or nervous, because I always knew that things were well organized and in place for us.
Yes, so I suppose it's my turn now to go ahead. And it sounds so cliched, but honestly, I have a similar answer to Jamieson, Roji, and Shauna Lee's own, because it's a little bit different, because mine was held in 2021 amidst the pandemic. So I actually had a virtual experience. I didn't get to travel to the US. And almost with the virtual experience, it sounds like that invites more challenges, because for me, I actually did expect several challenges, because I've been in and out of online school. It's boring having to sit in front of Zoom. This is an incredible program and I'm going to not sleep. But at the same time, how am I going to get through this virtual experience for an entire month? But once I entered, I never looked back. I never really had any challenges. The only thing was, for me, since I was staying in my country, one of the challenges is that I had to do this virtual experience amidst my summer activities. I was doing volleyball at the time, coming home in time, making sure I turn in my assignments on time. But, once you have that dedication, for me, it was just such an incredible experience. My fellow youth ambassadors experiencing this virtual experience at the same time as me, texting them from different islands, talking to them 3 times a week. So I never really had that kind of difficulty that you would necessarily expect from a virtual environment, because we were just made to feel that, we don't get to travel from the US, but we still get to experience, we still get to communicate. Even though we're losing this one segment, what do we gain? And I gained so much. And so I was really trying hard to think, like, come on, you can't make it sound like it's so cliched, you don't have anything wrong. But I really didn't. It was just really fun. And I can honestly tell you that no matter how this year's program turns out amidst the pandemic, the virtual experience is one that is just as incredible as the in-person experience sounds.
Over to you, Simone.
I think we may have lost Simone for a while, but I just would like to add to what Alana said, that the experience, like the staff, and I believe Roger mentioned as well, the staff at the U.S. Embassy, and not only at the U.S. Embassy, but the mentors, Miss King and Mr. Edward, they were there with us, and also the mentors in the United States when we went, they all made you feel so comfortable. If you ever had any problems, you could just go to them and they could help you. And I believe that was such a great part of the program, having that. I mean, you were with your parents, and I was like 15. So, being away from my mom was kind of, different, my mom, my father and stuff. But they made the experience like a smooth transition. They really helped with it. And I was so grateful that they were there with us.
Okay, and well, I'm going to speak on the adult mentor because I was there in this capacity. And it's not like you're just coming to babysit a young person. It's actually more than that. You get to build friendships, you get to mold the young people, and you also get to develop yourselves. Because part of the program, I had to facilitate different sessions. And there were also moments where there are several adult mentors. We had our intimate moments where it was just us away from the youth ambassadors. So we got to have that breakout time where we got to speak amongst ourselves and just share various experiences that we have from a cultural standpoint, from a personal standpoint, and we could see how we could take from each other to just build on ourselves. And more importantly, we're able to form meaningful friendships and bonds that has lasted. And for me, that's what I went through. So I would not say that and the adult mentor's role is one that is taxing. I would definitely say to any adult mentor that is in the application process, just be open, have an open mind when it comes to meeting other young people, communicating effectively with management, and just ensuring that you're just yourself. Because I came in there just being Jameson Edward, and I communicate with others. The life of a party, or I bring cheer to individuals who might be crying, or because we did have some individuals who did miss home and did feel some sort of a way. But my task was just to ensure that everyone felt safe, felt comfortable, and everyone felt secured. And it was not just me acting as quote unquote a babysitter, but it was more as a facilitator and want to ensure that, others got to develop in certain areas. Because I also assisted in part of the project building, because part of the program, the youth ambassadors get to engage in project building exercises where they get to draft certain projects that they would like to undertake. And they would have had several questions or certain things that they're not clear on. So you just give them a helping hand, explain to them, and and you just support. But you don't get to do them all the time. You do get time away from the youth ambassadors for you to interact with other adult mentors like yourself as well.
Thank you. So I feel like now that you all have shared some about like the not necessarily the challenge you experienced, but some of the challenges or things you might have to adjust to once you are in the program, you're overseas. And can you share a little bit about some of the things you all have done since you graduated and moved on from the program? Just so we can hear like a little bit about like what the program enhanced your life with, or some of the different programs that you've now participated in after the fact.
Sure, so I can begin. So after my program was the summer of 2021. And essentially, well, now I'm a little bit older. I'm in my Form 4 year, my fourth form year at my secondary school. And the way my program was conducted is we had this incredible theme called the hero's journey, which is what we explored on. So we followed, the path of all of our heroes from our favorite books and even our real life heroes. And it explored, the beginnings, and then you go through this incredible journey and you end. And even though you're back at the same home place that you started, you're a little bit different. And how have you changed? And for me, I found that the perfect analogy for my journey through the Youth Ambassadors program, because, I started off, I'm in St. Lucia, but then I entered through this program and I literally did not leave St. Lucia. But now that I'm back, in this, this same place where I started, I still go to the same school I went to. I still have the same class I went to. I'm pursuing different subjects because of my CSEC exams, but I'm a little bit different because now I feel more confident in speaking. Now I feel more confident in my role as a leader. And now I get to try to implement my follow-up program, which is going to be something called Love of Reading, where I get to help young people, young children with their reading skills, read to them, teach them about different books, expose them to that, which is something that I am very passionate about. And without the Youth Ambassadors program, this would not have happened right now. And so I can definitely say that through it, you'll definitely get to experience your own hero's journey. You'll end where you began, but you won't end how you began. And I think that's something that's just so important and so fun to think about and imagine. And hopefully when you apply, you'll get to experience that as well.
Yes, and well, unfortunately for me, my project coming out of the program was supposed to be an environmental implementation, but with the pandemic coming on, then that thought in my plans, and I really tried to, still do it, but with everything, the quarantine and the lockdowns and stuff like that, I had to, push it back. And the thing is, but aside from that, I really came out of the program with more than, just a project development. I came out with like a whole, as Alana said, I came back home and I was a different person. Before I would tend to, if I would like slowly creep into leadership positions, but I wouldn't take like the stand. I would kind of say, okay, let somebody else go up for things like president. I would probably take a role like secretary treasurer. But after that, like even now as I said before, I'm the president of the environmental club. And I think also when I began the program, I was interested in the environment. But when I went on the program, actually, we visited a recycling plant, and I don't know, something just sparked, something just clicked. And that's when I really started to really research and learn more about the environment, and really start to look at how can I make a positive impact. And I really think that this program was my point of like, it's just spin me around, and I was like, wait, what's going on now? And I was really thankful for that, because now I see myself so much more interested in environmental issues more than I was before. And I think that as youth, that is something that is very important. And I'm very passionate about, environmental topics. And even with the program, I got to speak with, Mr. Social. He was at the embassy. He conducted an environmental day. Like, it was a program, and I was one of the panelists with him, and it was such an amazing experience. And also, coming out of the program, leadership, yes, my leadership skills developed for sure. Definitely my civic engagement, I really, going into the program, I was like on the program itself. During the program, we went to different institutions where we assisted people who were homeless or like less fortunate as well. And we, work at a food bank, we volunteered, and it was such a wonderful experience to see, from the viewpoints of other people. And it was such a wonderful experience. And also the networking. I mean, I still speak to my youth ambassador friends all the time. I see, the comments in the chat, and we have a group chat on WhatsApp, and my youth ambassador family, they're forever. We've been planning this reunion for how long? But I mean, the pandemic, but one day it will happen. But I made some of the most wonderful friends, and not only friends that you can just have regular conversations, but they inspire me. Some of the things my fellow youth ambassadors are doing are so exceptional, and I'm so inspired. And I can see that we're all, just this wonderful community, and I'm very thankful for that on the program.
So I guess I'll go next. So for me, being a classroom teacher, I teach students ages 6 to 7, and being exposed to the program, there were certain programs that were very fun and exciting. And I was like, oh wow, why can't I use that in my classroom? I know my students would definitely benefit from that. So I was able to take quite a handful of the activities that were administered, and I was able to implement them in my classroom, and my students have benefited from them tremendously. My students have been performing well, and they've been growing, as young persons. And also, there's this particular guy, Shimran Ram. I know Shawnee remembers him. He had this particular game that he would play, which involves a lot of memory and also being able to think fast. And for me, I took this game and, I see commenting. I took this game and implemented it in my class. And for me, part of this game, I see beyond just the fun component, but more so, it actually teaches how you to think fast. It also fosters critical thinking, and it also focuses on problem solving as well. So that particular game has enhanced these particular skills for my students, and it has contributed to their growth. And for that, I can say I'm very thankful that I was exposed to the program. So there I am being an adult mentor, but still able to take out programs that can filter now into my life and into my professional life. And more so, I continued on the path of working with young persons in pageantry and dance. And several of these activities I used during my coaching sessions as well. So for me, I got more than just an experience, but I got something that I can cherish for life.
Yeah. So I think, coming back to your respective communities and countries, you become a mentor yourself as a youth ambassador, because, you might think I'm only a youth ambassador for the year from in my case from 2015 to 2016, but I think it extends beyond that. You sort of become a mentor within your own community, within your schools. And so in my case, I actually had like a whole week-long session where we used the afternoons, and we met in the library of my sixth form to have a sort of mentorship scheme. So there was I was 17 at that time, mentoring my peers on youth involvement in their communities and giving them a list of programs they could apply to, and these sort of things. And so looking at it, it might seem difficult because in our situation, the U.S. Embassy of Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, you might have different ambassadors in different territories compared to the other embassies where everyone is in the same country. But I think you have to take advantage. You could take advantage of being there alone, and you can become a mentor. And you could also tap into the other programs. You could tap into the other programs sponsored by the U.S. Embassy. So the Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative, I think that's the correct name, YLAI. So I am in contact with a few alum from that program here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and we do have a sort of organization, if you will. It's not very much an organization, but we are connected, and so we could provide mentorship here in St. Kitts and Nevis, knowing that we're from a small territory.
That is awesome. Just to hear you all share your stories and everything that you've gained from the program, talking about leadership, gaining even insights on the game. Jameson, you're gonna have to share with us this game. Now I'm curious to learn more about it. But there are just so many key takeaways that you all are sharing from the networking, the community that you built before the program, transitioning through it, as well as after, and keeping it in contact with that network and taking on different leadership roles, the confidence. I feel like it's a win-win. Like when you all shared about just learning from the application process, I don't know if there are many programs like that where you learn from just doing an application and an interview. So thank you all. I think one thing that I want to share, because I know we're winding down with time, so people please feel free to share questions that you have for our panelists today. I know that they would be glad to share more. But can you all just give me at least one word of like how you would describe the program? Only one word. Look, like as you all think about it, I love doing this because I think sometimes it's hard to pick just one word. So you all are up next to see. Go ahead and unmute. Who's up first? I think Roger, you're unmuted, so go ahead.
Yes, I would say it was enriching. Yeah. Yes.
My word would have to be dynamic.
I would say adventurous, because just to incorporate like everything that went on. We had so many different, workshops, everything, the activities, everything. We went everything together. Just a big adventure.
So for me, I'm going to have to use a pretty broad adjective to encompass everything I'm thinking of. I'm going to probably just say incredible, because that's just one of my favorite general adjectives, and I can't pinpoint a specific aspect, but it was overall just such an incredible experience, from the different activities we did, all the laughs we had, everything I learned. It was just so incredible.
Oh, so you all heard it. We had dynamic, enriching, adventurous, incredible. So I also want to kind of get from you all any key takeaways or last minute remarks on like what you all think people should take away from this amazing discussion we've had today. But yeah, I will start off with Roll J. If you can just give us some last minute remarks and just like what key takeaways should people take when they log off today? What do you want to say to our viewers?
Off the bat, I would tell you to click on the link and apply. But what I would say before you click on the link to apply is to do some research on the program itself. Look on the website for the information on the program. Look at the requirements, the things that you would do if you're selected as a youth ambassador. You can sleep on it, ask a friend. You can get in contact with me, and I'm sure other members on here today would be happy to get in contact with anyone. Find out about the program and then apply. There's only a week left from tomorrow, but I think that is enough time for you to get started on the application.
Yes, and I'll just follow up. I agree with Roger. Just apply to the program. I mean, you may think now that probably I don't have the necessary qualifications, necessary skills, but trust me, it will be an experience you want to be a part of. And as Roger said, I'm sure I've seen they tag us in the post that they make, so you can reach out to me, you can reach out to any one of us. I've seen a few youth ambassadors send some comments in the chat. Joshua, Sherwin, Shimron. I mean, you can just contact any of us. I'm sure we have so many experiences, and I really think this program is a great way for any youth to develop. Once you're in the age limit, just send that application and become a part of a community.
I suppose I can go next. And what I would just like to say to end is, for those of you who are nervous, just go for it. I really do think that that's just really important. Like Shauna Lee and what Roger said, you know, you do have what it takes. You just need to really go for it. And just as we said, the application process itself is such a learning experience. It's such an incredible experience. And I think that once you just take that extra step, just to put your best foot forward. For me, I was nervous before I applied. I was 14 when I applied, although I was 15 when the program started. And I was just like, should I do this? I mean, the link is right in front of you. You can press it, you can start. And once you have that kind of self-motivation to begin, whether or not you get into the program, that is going to carry you so far. And I think that that's just really important.
All right, so that leaves me last. So if you want to be part of a program that provides you with a life-changing experience, apply. If you want to be part of a program that would provide you with an out-of-state experience and a multicultural experience, apply. If you want to be part of a program that will enhance on your leadership and increase your civic engagement and contribute to your holistic development, apply, apply, apply.
I love it, love it, love it. So as you all have heard continuously, the benefits of the program, just making sure you're adaptable to any challenges you might incur, although the list from this group was very slim. But yes, so that's the big takeaway is go ahead and just try it out. Like there's nothing to lose by applying to this program. You see the link below. And we're already yes, we're rooting for you. Go for it. Thank you, Joshua. So that's exactly what this session was about, to answer your questions and for you all to learn a little bit more about the program and what there is to experience. I do want to highlight some of the eligibility requirements. So as you go into that link and you get ready to apply. So for our youth participants, you're going to want to be a high school student between 15 and 18 years old at the start of the exchange. You're going to have at least one semester of school remaining after program participation. You're going to be a citizen and a resident of some of the countries that are in this program. So the Bahamas, Suriname, Guyana, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. So making sure you're a resident of one of those representing countries. You're going to demonstrate leadership and aptitude and interest in community service. So much of what our panelists shared today is about the thinking about ways or reflecting on how they can give back to their communities, which is a big part of the program theme. You're going to want to exhibit flexibility, maturity, integrity, and good social skills, as well as open-mindedness. So that was highlighted again. And when I asked the question of challenges, a lot of our youth ambassadors and mentors mentioned that they were flexible and adaptable to situations. You're going to want to have a motivation to be active and successful going forward, aside from just the program. And then for our adult educators, our mentors within the program, I know Jamison mentioned when he looked at the application, he saw it for the youth participants and like the eligibility requirements. But we also have opportunities for educators. So you're going to be a teacher or community leader who works with youth, be a citizen of some of those resident countries that I mentioned previously. You're going to demonstrate an interest in assisting youth to become productive and responsible members of society. We want people who exhibit maturity and open-mindedness as well to be an example to our youth ambassadors. So especially we need the supportive nature to kind of encourage and assist our teenage participants. You're also going to want to be able to participate in periodic meetings throughout the academic year, such as exchanges, and also to support and monitor some of the work that the youth ambassadors do. So hopefully this program today has given you all just a little more insight into why you should apply. And I hope you all have clicked on the link. You can also go to bbb.usembassy.gov for more details. And I just want to take a moment to thank our youth ambassadors and our youth ambassador mentors who participated in the session today. I think I've learned a lot from just you all sharing your experiences. So I'm hoping that our viewers today have, and I think so, based off some of the comments and encouragement I've seen. So I did have one final question to each of you. Can you all highlight kind of what you're doing now? I think it helps people as they apply for this program to see the number of opportunities that are available out there, and kind of an alumni network that they're going to be tapping into. So Jameson, can you go ahead and go first and share kind of like what you're doing now or what you're planning to do within the coming months?
Well, I'm still actively engaged in dance, so I do teach dance and I perform. And I currently am on my final semester for my master's degree in creative arts. And hopefully, I will be seeing you and Lisa soon in Barbados.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see you in person.
So for me, because I was a youth ambassador almost 7 years ago, I've done a lot since then. So what I could tell you, I continued with Youth Parliament. I did Commonwealth Youth Parliament. I did debating, Leeward Islands debating competition. What else did I do? I did so many things since then. So I think that sort of enriched my journey. And currently, I'm in my final semester of my undergraduate degree in biochemistry at the University of St. Andrews. But at the University of St. Andrews, I've also continued in my sort of youth leadership. I'm currently the honors rep for the Biological Society. So I think once you get into this program, you start to get a habit for being in leadership positions. So definitely apply.
That's great. And all the best as you endeavor into all of those other projects as well as you're finishing up your studies.
Okay, I'll follow. Well, currently, right now, as I said before, I am a student at the Dominica State College. I am majoring in accounting, business administration, for concentration in finance and mathematics, associate degrees. So I'll be finishing this year and then hopefully continuing on in the following year. So in September with finance undergrad. And I also in leadership positions. As Roger said, after you have come out of the program, you feel so more enriched to play a part and participate in leadership roles. Also, so I'm the president of the Dominica State College Environmental Club and the vice president of the Literary and Debating Society. I also participated in a debate last year, and so many things coming out of this club, out of this participation in the program.
That's great. That is great. And all the best to Shanalia, especially too as you endeavor into undergraduate, and all of your academic studies too.
Yes, so for me to do with Youth Ambassadors in the coming months, I'll be working on my follow-on project. I'm in fourth form, as I said earlier, so I'm working towards CSEC in Form 5. I'll be doing math early though, so that's what I'm studying for in May. I'm a part of many different clubs at my school, so I'm the executive of a couple of them, or I'm just a very active member. But even in those roles that seemingly aren't really related to the Youth Ambassadors program, I'm still able to apply the different skills I learned, organizational skills, as we've all mentioned, the leadership skills, and I'm very excited for the future.
Yes, we are excited for you too. So thank you again to our panelists today. I think, this is an awesome, exciting opportunity. I hope that everybody who's thinking or just even questioning whether they're going to apply just steps out and applies. So as you can see below, it says visit bbb.usembassy.gov so you can get a little bit more details about the program, the eligibility requirements, and even more details on all of what the program entails. I just want to thank our panelists today. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedules. As you all were highlighting everything you're doing now and doing in the future, I can't even keep up. So I know that it took a lot. It means a lot to our viewers today, especially to the U.S. Embassy here, just to see you all continue to just keep pursuing your dreams. It's not always easy, but you all are making it look that way. But thank you again to our viewers for tuning in, for taking time to ask questions. Feel free to send us questions or go to the website and see if some of your questions can be answered there. So thank you again to everyone for participating and viewing. We're looking forward to future sessions and keep an eye out for our future programs as well. I wish you all the best, and I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon and weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, and same to you. And thank you for being a lovely host.
Oh, thank you. No, you all made it easy. When you have a great panel like this, you all make it wonderful and make it super easy for me.
Awesome.
It was wonderful. So fun.
Hoping to see more St. Lucians applying as well. That's from the
Okay,
Caribbean
look,
too.
Jameson put the call out. Let's see.
Yes, more St. Lucians apply.